So, good morning, guys. Our group's objective, or I guess lesson you would say, it was numbers and operations. So, for the beginning of the slides, I just kind of put in the TEKS that I would use for both third grade and fifth grade, which is what the games are going to be really revolved around. So, just to save a little bit of time, just kind of briefly go over it. Recall facts to multiply up to 10 by 10 with automatically and recall the corresponding division facts, and compare and order two decimals to thousands and represents comparison using the symbols. Right, so game one. So I kind of wrote out a description of game one, and it's a multiplication grouping game. So in the game, students would roll a die and draw a card according to the number that they rolled on the die. So it would be 1 through 6. And once they have selected a card based on the number that they rolled, they'll find a word problem on the back of their card. So the activity, I was thinking it could be either done outdoors or like inside of a classroom. So I'm going to show you guys like kind of what that would look like outdoors. So the activity would be used like with chalk, and you could create like groupings in the multiplication problems, or kind of use duct tape on the floor to create these groupings. And you can use like any material inside the circles if you'd like. So an example of the problem, I wrote out a word problem for the kids to like kind of pick if they were to draw like card number 1, let's say. So it says Andrew is having his friends over for a movie night. He decides to prepare snacks for the event. Andrew started by making sandwiches. If he has 4 friends coming over and he made 3 sandwiches for each one of them, how many sandwiches did he make in all? So basically, there would be 4 groups of 3. So you could get the chalk and draw the 4 groups, and then you can find any materials outside. Like in this picture, there's pine cones representing each sandwich in each group. So each group of 4 has 3 pine cones, and if you set up the equation, it's 4 times 3, which equals 12. And another way of doing that maybe online is just kind of creating groups. So right here, I kind of just drew out 6 circles and put 2 tallies in each one. And the problem is Andrew is having his friends over for a movie night, so he decides to prepare drinks for the event. Andrew decided to make juice from freshly squeezed oranges. If he made 6 cups total and he used 2 oranges per glass, how many oranges did he use total? So if we write that equation out, it's 6 groups of 2, or it's 6 total groups with 2 in each, which equals 12 oranges. And then the next game is about decimals. So it's kind of the same concept as the first game. They'll be given a deck of cards that'll have a number either 1, 2, or 3, and they'll be mixed up. And as they draw the card from the deck, they will be given a problem based on the number they have selected. So I have 3 different types of problems going over decimals. So the first game would be like in a chart that goes over tens, ones, tenths, hundreds, and thousands. So this first one is like if they were to draw card 1, it'd be compare decimals, select the greatest number. So they'd select the snail that has the greatest number, and the numbers are actually written out in placement order. And this is just the decimal explained in the number. So they would either pick the greatest number 1.943 or 1.946, and we'd know that this is the correct answer because the thousands place is different. And then this is just another example of that. So in the tenths and ones, we have 1, 3, which makes 13, and then 0.536. And then in the second number, we have 14.1. And then we know that this one would be the greater one because the ones is greater over here in the 14 than in the 13. And then the second card, if they were to draw, it's comparing with signs. So greater, less than, or even. And if this was like an in-person activity, they would get kind of like these worksheets with the problems already written out for them, and they can paste which symbol they need to put in the middle. So in this one, 15.941, it would be greater than 1.918. So they would just paste it right here in the blank spot. And then for the third type of activity for decimals, they would just kind of pay attention to this word right here. If it says greater than or less than, so it'd be in the form of a number line. So here it says number line, which is less. So they're really looking at the numbers right here at the bottom. So 1.765 and 1.768, it's displayed on the number line, and the arrows are pointing to these points on the number line, and they would just identify which one's less. So it would be 1.765 in this case. And another example would be which is greater. So again, it's the same concept. It's a number line written out, 8.59 all the way up to 8.6. And they would either have to pick 8.592 or 8.595, and it would be 8.595. And that was pretty much it. I mean, that was just kind of like a rundown, but I mean, any of these activities could be made in person, but I tried to make it like an online form so I could just kind of show you guys briefly and kind of give you an idea of what it would look like. And that's it.